Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Monday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios inside the bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. From the highest point of the Garden State, traveling half continent to Vinnie's Parise's vehicle somewhere in Chicago, Illinois. Stream it live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils take on the BJs, the Columbus Blue Jackets, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern start. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Devils are 1-1. The BJs are 1-1. Metropolitan Division showdown.
Yep.
I'm not going to take this game lightly. They need the 2 points, and 2 solid points.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
if you think about... Go ahead, Short Guy. You can
Go
start
ahead.
it off.
I was just going to say it's really like 4 points, not 2.
It really is like 4 points to 2. And if you think back to last season, Columbus had a very bad thing happen to them at the beginning of last season. Obviously, we'll never forget Johnny Gaudreau. And they rode that wave of, playing for him. And I believe it's bled into this year. He's never going to really leave that core's veins, and that's a good thing. The Devils came awfully close to Columbus catching them last year. Now, it doesn't feel like it because the Devils clinched with about a week and a half, 2 weeks left in the season last year. But then when you look at the final season standings, you realize the Devils slid towards the end of the season, not so great in the final week. And the Blue Jackets won 8 out of their last 10 games, I believe it was. So they only were 2 points shy of the Devils when the final standings reached 82 games. Columbus was right there. And I do believe that they got better in the offseason, another year better of Adam Fantilli and some of the young guys that they have on that team. If Merzlikins plays well, they're a dangerous team, and the Devils cannot look at this game and go, well, we hung with Carolina, and for some reason Raleigh is our, kryptonite, and, we beat the crap out of Tampa Bay, who's supposed to be one of the legit Stanley Cup contenders. Now we got the Blue Jackets. That should be easy. Wrong. I don't see it that way.
No.
I think you need to play just as well against them as you did against Tampa in the first and third period. This is an important game for the Devils.
It is a very important game. First of all, hello to everybody in the YouTube chat and everyone on Twitter watching everywhere you're watching tonight. So hello. We'll start chatting back and forth with you as soon as we can. But yeah, you don't want to take this one too lightly. This is our last Metro Division game until I think it's the 8th of November, if I remember correctly from what I was looking at last night. So we don't have any other Metro games. So this is really one of those things where you want to get these Metro points when you can get them. I feel like the divisional schedule versus the rest of the schedule is odd this year. Like we don't see the Rangers until March. Like it seems stupid, but it is what it is. What I was talking about the other night before we played the Lightning is I saw some positives from the debacle that was the opening game as they responded pretty much every time the Carolina scored a goal, the Devils responded and scored another one. The response to the game in Tampa was going to be huge, and it was. They beat Tampa. They took it to Vasi, which not many teams are able to do that. So that was a huge plus. So now they got to ride this wave and just continue it. And I think in our group chat, Sam Woo's all-time favorite Devil, Jake the Snake Allen, is supposedly starting tonight. So that's a big deal for him. The Girl Scouts of America have started to line up against Sam Woo, especially once Jake Allen was announced as a starter or as soon as it came out. And Jake Allen has a test tonight, and I think this is going to be a good test for him and a good test for this team. You got to do well against your divisional rivals, and tonight is the beginning of that. Well, I guess we can't say the beginning because we blew it against Carolina, but tonight is a retry against that, and we got to do it.
I'd like to say hello to those in the chat as well. Ted, Survey, Michael, Bill, Mike again. Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the chat. I agree on the goaltending. You need both guys. This is a 2-goaltender NHL these days. It used to be a league where you needed one guy to play 70 games. Devils fans obviously remember the GOAT, Martin Brodeur. You think of guys like Carey Price and Tuukka Rask and Henrik Lundqvist, Corey Crawford, Ben Bishop, all these guys who were like stalwarts that played 65 to 70 games every single season, and the backup was really just a minute point. The league really isn't like that anymore. Really, outside of
Not at
Andrei
all.
Vasilevsky and maybe like a Jake Ottinger, but even Jake Ottinger, Casey DeSmith plays a fair amount of games. Some of the elite goalies. I remember that one of the years Connor Hellebuck won the Vezina Trophy. His backup, Laurent Brossoit, who's on the Blackhawks, he's been injured his entire Blackhawks tenure, hasn't played a game, but his season as a backup was incredible. He had like a 912 save percentage in like 30 something starts, and like that's behind Hellebuck, who's like a workhorse. So I do think it's a league that needs to, see teams have two guys. When you get to the playoffs, you probably like to have one, but one guy starting every single game, but that backup needs to be ready at all times. And so you get Jake Allen in here today, and you're going to see him face a Blue Jackets team that's going to be heavy, hard on the puck, fast, all the good things you want to see. Zach Werenski is one of the best offensive defensemen in the NHL. Everybody on the Devils team needs to be aware of where he is at all times. If they don't want a sweet play, either a breakout pass, whatever it is that he can do to you, it's important, to keep an eye on that. So I think those are two of the main keys. You bring up Allen, I think keeping an eye on Werenski, obviously very important details.
Yeah. Werenski is going to give us, a little bit of trouble if we don't keep track of him like you're talking about. We need to see the continuation of the way Jesper Bratt played. And if we can get Connor Brown to continue playing and scoring at the pace he is, that's going to be awesome. And if we can get, players like Jack and, Luke to start popping them in too. I know Luke's a defenseman, but he's going to be one of those higher scoring defensemen. That will be great. And to agree with you completely, the days of the 72, 74 games, where Brodeur's playing 72 and Chris Terreri's getting 10, those games are gone, or those years are gone. If you see a goalie get 55 games, I think that's going to be at the very, very high end of any kind of a workload. That's just over 60%. So the other thing too is if they can solve Merzlikins early and kind of get on him as well, because he can play very, very well. So the Devils got to solve him, but they just solved Vasi in pretty incredible fashion as well. And they held Tampa to very few shots along with that too. So that means Jake the Snake's got to be ready for a potential really light workload tonight, which is not the easiest game for a goaltender to play.
Absolutely. You bring up Connor Brown. How about Arseny Gritsuk playing with Connor Brown on the third line there in that game? And, you wonder, there's going to come a point, I think, where he kind of gets elevated into a top six role and starts seeing some more minutes with even better offensive producers than Connor Brown, which people forget. Connor Brown has been an above average middle six producer over the last, 7-8 years, going back to his days with the Toronto Maple Leafs, where he scored 20 goals as a rookie. So, he's always been kind of a productive player that, can impact the bottom six. And so that's nice to have, but we'll see what happens with Gritsuk. I think the world of his ability to make plays and be dangerous on the offensive side of the puck. I think that could be a factor here tonight against the Blue Jackets as well.
Yeah, very well could. And Gritsuk is playing very well. And I think it's, by putting him on that third line, having him earn his way up to the top six, I think is going to be awesome. And we'll see him rise to the occasion with all hope and become that guy that we all hope he is, and that we want him to be. And then we've got a really good solid top six. Jack has been pushing, still making some dumb mistakes defensively, but. I think tonight should be a good game to where, Jack, maybe wakes up a little bit. I think he's got to start doing that. He's watching Jesper score quite often so far in the early part of the season. I think it's time for Jack to do the same.
According to dailyfaceoff.com, Jet Greaves is starting in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So,
really?
We'll see how that goes. I don't know. Obviously, that's from Daily Faceoff takes line combinations from insiders along, on Twitter throughout the day. So that's probably accurate. But just throwing that
Okay.
out there, that's probably the likely starting goalie for the Blue Jackets. But yeah, I agree with you on Jack Hughes. I think once one goes in, it's not like he's been without making plays or looking bad out
He's
there. I
pushing.
just one's going to go in for him, and that'll be all for him. Luke Hughes having 4 assists in 2 games. I'm pretty sure none of them have come on the power play, and they're kind of flipping Dougie and Luke in their units today. I think that's good for everyone because Luke is going to produce 5-on-5 simply based on his speed. He's going to get assists by accident at times. He's so fast and so good out there. I think having Dougie Hamilton, a more experienced power play quarterback, on the power play specifically will be good. Luke will get there on the power play. I'm not worried about his long-term power play production. Think about this, though. 4 assists at even strength through the first 2 games. Wait till he does become, a power play merchant. And you combine that with what he does at even strength, and we could be talking about a Zach Werenski-esque defenseman, or what Dougie Hamilton has been at points in his career. I think the world of Luke Hughes and his talent, that speed, is amongst the best in the NHL for any player, any position. So it should be exciting to see him play. Real good to see Nico Hischier get on the board in the last game. Bratt, Meyer, all the guys that you need to see producing for the Devils have been on the board up to this point, and then you just know the Jack Hughes explosion is coming. And he has played well in his career against the Columbus Blue Jackets, so has Bratt. I'm pretty sure I remember Bratt having a hat trick one time against the Blue Jackets. So it'll be interesting. I was going to make a joke about not hearing the cannon at all tonight, but then I remembered the Rangers have scored 0 goals at Madison Square Garden this year, so that stupid song hasn't played one time yet. It's so funny.
Great.
It's so
That's
funny
so
to
good.
me. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, as am I, and Mike R in the chat talking about one of the big things, one of the big takeaways from the Tampa game is that we went physically against Tampa early, and Tampa responded, and we matched them in that physicality, which that was a bit of a missing piece last year at times, I would say, and this year it's not missing because the Devils were a tough team physically on Saturday, and the Devil they got to keep that up, but they got to be smart with it because that's a good way to get injured as well. And we do know that this Devils team is pretty prone to injuries at times, which we can talk about that a different time as far as the reasoning or the possibility. But the other thing too, I was sent this earlier by Brooke Amanda. We have new looks on the power play. I don't know if you saw this here, Vin. You did?
Hamilton and Hughes switched, and then what were the rest of the details?
So it's Dougie with Bratt, Nico, Jack, and Timo. So Timo's on power play 1. And then power play 2 is Luke with Gritsuk, Palat, Glass, and Mercer.
Has that not been one of the more confusing things for the New Jersey Devils since acquiring Timo Meier? Has him not being on the top power play unit as the net front guy?
Tonight's going to be, his night. So let's see what he does. It would be very nice. So we'll.
One of the things that made Meyer successful in San Jose has been his ability to score all sorts of kinds of goals. Normally, you think of a guy who scores a lot of goals and they're a sniper, or like Zach Parise was like the tip in, net front, bang in, rebound guy. Same thing with a guy like Sidney Crosby, very similar. Patrick Kane was always with his shot. Same thing with Stamkos and Ovechkin. Timo Meier kind of had like a mixed bag in terms of the way he scores goals. Beautiful shot, can tip in pucks, can be a presence in the net front. I hope to see them utilize those skill sets more this season from Timo, because that could be the key between winning an extra 2 or 3, possibly more games. Because the offensive talent is there for sure. He's scored a lot of goals in his career and created a lot of offense in his career for a reason.
Yeah, and I catch crap all the time on Hockey on Tap about that Timo contract, and I know I'm going to get that tonight because just why not? They just like to give me crap about that contract. But once Timo's on, and that's we all love to see. He's a high energy player when he's scoring goals, when he's in the corner, when he's just affecting the game, and I'm excited to see him on this power play on power play one. I forget who RME said Timo shouldn't be moved off of power play one unless he's ice cold. I'm gonna definitely agree with that. Let's keep him there. AJ Visco also asks, has anyone checked on Billy Dean lately? I'll check on him in about, I don't know, an hour and a half there, AJ. I know. And I'm going to check really on Billy Dean in about an hour and a half on Hockey on Tap when we start.
100%. One more point on Timo, Sam, before you jump in. When they make fun of him about his contract, the cap is going to be $107 million next year.
It's going to look like a steal.
Timo Meyer's minimum in goals, his minimum is 25. A bad year for Timo Meyer, like last year mostly, 25 goals. 25 goal scorers make $8 million a season now. I'm sorry to tell you. Any more than they start making 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's it.
It's going to look like a steal in about 2 years.
Yes.
What I was going to say to you, Shorts guy, because the way you were saying that they're going to wreck you on Hockey on Tap, just text me and I'll mute all of them from the studio.
You got it.
Yeah,
I will definitely do that.
Send me a text, and Billy Dean would not even know what's going on at the controls. I'll lock him out.
All right, I like it. I like it. And then you can start. And then you can start playing that clip from the 1998 Godzilla blowing up MSG.
Okay, I got to find that clip, but carry on.
Okay.
That's the best.
It's always fun to poke at Ranger fans.
Absolutely. Well, Sports Guy, what do you say we get into some predictions before we wrap up the show and say our goodbyes?
I like that idea because this game time is coming up quick with this new 6:15 start, which I believe is what we are going to be doing more regularly now. So everyone be prepared for that. That game's going to be here before we know it in about 22 and a half minutes. So, yeah, if you have not yet done so, please throw your predictions into the chat on YouTube so we can start reading them out loud. I know there was one earlier. If you put it in earlier, put it in again so we can find it. And this way we're not digging through piles and piles of comments. So what do you think, Vin?
Absolutely. So I think the Devils, they got to play the same way they did against Tampa Bay, and I think they probably will. I like this Devils team. I believe they can beat anybody. When they play in Raleigh, that's something they have to get over. That is a fork in the road. If they want to be a Stanley Cup contender or make a deep run in the playoffs, they're going to have to win in Raleigh. But they're not playing the Carolina Hurricanes today. Just today they got to worry about, playing to their strengths, being fast, being hard on the forecheck. It's going to be interesting, and I'm excited for it. We'll see what they're able to do on that front. So I'm going to pick them to win the game 5-2.
5-2.
It's a lot of goals coming from me. I'm normally conservative with goals. It's hard to score in the NHL. I think the Devils get a 5-2 victory tonight.
Okay. I'm going to echo some similar sentiments from you. I think that they got to do this, just copy paste whatever they did going into Tampa to get that start. Do it again tonight. Go into Columbus and come out with another good victory. I think the one thing the Devils got to look at is they got caught on the counter in Tampa, and I think that almost kind of threw them, but they were able to weather that storm, which is another good thing about this team is like was said earlier, not only physicality, but Tampa responded and the Devils stood up. So that's just what they got to keep doing. And I think the Devils are going to come out here. I think there's going to be vindication for Sam Wu and his battle against the Girl Scouts of America of the greater Las Vegas area. And Jake the Snake is going to play very well tonight. And I think that Jake the Snake is going to get the Devils a 3-0 victory. And Vinnie, I hate that you weren't here Saturday because I used a word that you may not have ever heard of. It's called ruminating.
Ruminating. What's the definition? Can you please use it in a sentence?
And,
Was it a spelling bee? Jeez.
I've been ruminating over the Devils' victory on Saturday. It means to think deeply and thoughtfully.
Is that a verb or a noun?
Ruminating. Probably a verb.
I would say so as well.
I love the
Definitely a verb.
spelling bee.
Yeah,
I love the spelling bee.
As soon as I used the word on the podcast, I was like, "Oh, where's Vinnie? Vinnie loves big words."
Yeah, you were pontificating on what it would be like if I were there.
Whoa.
Exactly.
That's very funny. Sam, what do you think tonight?
I want to read out some scores.
Oh, yeah. You want to
you guys look? Because I'll do the grand finale and predictions, but let's read out some of these scores.
All right. So Eddie says the Devils are going to win 4-2. Timo Meyer with a power play goal. Eric says Devils 3, Jackets 1. Selecta says 3-1 Devils. I don't know why Steve Engel's picking Columbus to win in a shootout. That's
Reverse psychology.
Really
He's been
annoying.
doing that.
Okay, I'll accept that. Corbin says 3-0 Devils. Mike R says 5-2 Devils. Survey 4-2 Devils. Allen or AJ says Allen snake bites the BJs 4-0. That'd be a shutout. Would be real nice. Michael says Devils win 5-2 with an empty netter. Brooke says 3-0 Devils. Ted says 4-2 Devils. Let's see. Oh my goodness says 4-2 Devils. So, yeah.
Devils fan 13 said a 5-2 win, possibly 6-2 with 2 empty netters. Devils fan 13 is predicting, or Devils fan _13. So, I like it. Man, and he's predicting, or he, she, I don't know what Devils fan _13 is. Grits will score his first NHL goal tonight. That's another bold one.
Wow.
Almost had it in Tampa. By the way, I want to throw this out there. Schwim of Hockey on Tap was not happy. And Brooke and I were just kind of sticking it to him because not only was Tampa losing, I was sending him text messages like, hey, Schwim, because Schwim, if you don't know, and a lot of people don't, loves bread. And I was eating fresh out of the oven bread. And I was like, Schwim, you know what? Tampa is losing, and I have fresh bread that I'm eating right now. Sucks to be you.
Bad night to be a Schwim.
And
it was a very bad night.
And I wanted to also add, I carried a 40-inch Sony Wega today. That's another inside joke. Yeah, and I didn't get caught. Anyway. Look, my prediction.
Pain.
This one's going to be dedicated to the Brownies out there. Jake the Snake is going to come through. I hate Ohio State. I hate everything about Columbus. So I'm going to say a 7-3 victory over the Columbus Blue Jackets. The BJs, they're going to suck tonight. And that's all I have to say.
Jeez.
I'm seeing Ohio State in person this weekend. They're playing Wisconsin in Madison, and I will be there.
That's going to be a good game.
And you know what? I'm also going to make a prediction. Even though we're down right now, Penn State's going to wreck Ohio State when they meet them at Ohio State in the beginning of November.
Oh. I'll tell you what, Columbus
quarterback.
We'll run the ball. Just run the ball. Just run the ball.
I gotta say this: Columbus, Ohio, is the end point of the longest road trip I ever did for a sporting event. It was a bus trip. We left Harrison right around midnight, and we got to Columbus about 10 a.m. Drank and partied in the parking lot. Went to the Red Bulls match. Went out to eat. Got on the bus. Went back home. I got back by Monday at 7 a.m. That was the longest ever road trip for a sporting event I've done. It was quite a trip. A lot of drinking on that trip. A lot of drinking.
When you go there, yeah.
And all beers in the stadium, because it was going to be the potential last game in the stadium, were half price.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's the way to do it.
I don't want to even get into losing the Big Ten championship and driving all the way back and having to pass Columbus, Ohio. Anyway.
We're onward and upward, Sam.
Yeah.
Onward and
Yeah,
upward.
yep.
You move on.
All right. Well, I want to thank all those tuning in, dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes. We're going to have Devils After Dark after the game, right after the game. Scotty at Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. It's going to be a big game tonight, folks. Thank you. Thank you to Vinnie. Thank you to Shorts Guy. Thank you to everybody, again, for watching this highly rated programming with over 1 million downloads and counting. Game Day Live and the rest of the Let's Go Devils podcast family. Till next time, let's go Devils.